Hey, welcome to the process. My name is Dr. John Bush. This is part 3 of my wide receivers looking at their 2015 to 22 ADP versus end of the season fantasy points. Clearly understanding the before and after of ADP in your draft. It's very critical. We're looking for patterns. We're looking for trends. Just looking for kind of a foundational baseline reference class forecast for wide receivers that we can apply for 2023. But we need to understand where we've been to understand where we might go. And it's landscape views of what's gone on before. So let's continue. Obviously, you should go watch part 1 and 2. And let's see. Okay. So what I did in the previous lesson is I had converted the fantasy points of the players that were at a certain ADP before season to 0 to 100 scale. 100 is the highest that's been in the 8 years, and every other number is a percentage of the best that's been in 8 years. I colorized the top 30% from, and this is from 1 to 60 ADP. So we're looking at 60 wide receivers per year, right? So I guess that's 480 total sample size there. So gives you a feel for goodness, kind of average, and sadness, which is the red, which is the bottom 30%. So you can look right away at things. So now I did that conversion 1 to 60. I wanted to look at wide receiver ones, ADP 1 to 12, and just kind of look at successes and failures, look at patterns, look at distributions, look using the box and whisker, looking at the populations. Anything's been changing? What are kind of the ranges of the data? And I think you can see from 2022, we had what? In the top 12, we had what? Six were really good. So that was in some ways a good year, but it's always a but, right? 4 of the 12 were sad, and 2 were really sad. So you had kind of the good and the and with the draft capital of the your first wide receiver pick, you probably think it's at 100%, right? Oh, I'm the best. Historically, that's not true, folks. That in not at all. So if you have the illusion that, oh, I just will kind of follow along with the crowd and won't do any research and just kind of bobble along there, you got about 50-50 shot that you're going to get burned. Look at 2021. You had 3 out of 12. Great. 4 out of 12 sad, and the other were kind of average. Okay, the 2020 COVID, only 2. You had 2 good, great, 4 sad, and then the rest, So 19, you had 1. So if you look at 19, 20, and 21, and we're talking of the 36, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 out of 36 were great. That means the rest were sad. Okay, sadness. So 2022, you could have got a false view of a typical year. Look at 2018. Looks a lot like 2022. It was all goodness. So you can imagine 2018, and then you were kind of like, oh, well, I'm not going to worry about top 12. In 2019, Rutrow, you only had 1 out of 12. So you could have got tricked, and I think we might have that in 2022. Okay, I think there's always uncertainty, but I don't think we should rely on 2023 being 50% great. The historical record doesn't support that. What would it say? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 out of what? 60. 24 out of 60. So it's less than 50%. I guess it's close to 40%. So you probably, as a reference class forecast, if you look across at the average, you should only expect 4 of the top 12 to be really spectacular. Isn't that interesting? I don't think people are drafting with that foundational understanding. And so I think you could get surprised. Variation and things that happen over the years, you shouldn't rely on past years. Now, with that said, look at the top 2. Only 1 failure. Look at the top 3. 3 failures out of, what is that, 24. So I think the top 3 tend to be, if you just look at failures. But after that, it gets rather tricky as far as failure numbers, 4 to 12. So this should enlighten you. If it doesn't, I don't know what is. To me, this is data that jumps out and slaps you over the head there. And you get fish slapped here if you're a Monty Python fan. So, what's the population look like? 2022 was one of the best as far as overall, having 6 successes. Look what that does to the data versus the preceding 4 years. There's 2018, 2015. So we had 1, 2, 3 great years and 5 years. Okay? So, what do you think 2023 is? I would argue that you should expect less than you did for 2022. So you should really be cautious about that. You should invest time and effort into looking into those top 12 wide receivers. Okay. I do note that 2022 not only was it good, but the whiskers and the top to the bottom was really compact compared to the year before. And look at COVID. Oh my goodness. And look at 2019. Same thing. So there's been a lot of range issues here. And 2022 had the most compact we've seen. So not only was 2022 a great year in the last 8, one of the greats, it was very compact. So the failure wasn't so bad. If you consider below 40% is failure, you're saying that doesn't even sound good at 40%, at 50%. I understand. Your expectation is 80%, and folks, that is a rarity. Okay, looking at the top 12. So you shouldn't be fooled by that. The next 12, so these are the WR2s, least predicted. 2022 was all about mediocre, only one success, two failures. The year before, we had 4 successes, 5 successes, 5 successes, 2, 2, 2, and 3. So 2019, 2020 were kind of rare. 2022 was a little bit on the low side. So it probably will get a little better, right? If you think about things. So we're talking what, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, 19, 20, 24. 24 out of, what is this? 8 times 12. What is that? 96. 24 out of 96. Okay, so that's about, what is that? Close to 25%. So 25% of 12 is about 3. So one might predict in 2023, just based on kind of the overall pattern, we should expect 3 successes. So you've got a 3 out of 12 shot at grabbing a nice wide receiver there. So we should see a little uptick from last year. Okay. But again, if you're thinking WR2s are, the best ever, just realize that it's not so at all. And if we look at the patterns, 2022 overall very compact, no doubt. Everybody was a lot alike, but overall in the box was down compared to the preceding years. 60 to almost 40 was kind of where half the population was sitting there. So that's not good, not good. So you can see this is probably going to go up, probably mimic close to this world. So we could probably forecast WR2s are going to deliver a little bit better for us. So I think people are over optimistic anyway, so I'm not sure if people are not expecting everything to be 100%, and they're certainly surprised. WR3s, last year, 5 failures in this block, so a lot of failures. 3 successes, and notice at 28, and then it went downhill from there. It was a sad journey there. Again, 4, 4, 2, 2, 3, 3, or 4, 2, and 3. So somewhere around 3 or 4. So I guess the thing that I would project was we probably won't have, as bad. I mean, 5 is the worst failure that we've seen since 2017. This was 18 was an strange year, 19, 20. So we had those years that complete failures were low, but boy, 2021 came back. This was a little high. I think we'll do a tad better in WR3s. So we've looked at 1s, 2s, and 3s. We've projected 2s are going to be better, 1s are going to be worse, and 3s probably are going to get probably more of a compact nature and less of these extreme failures there. I mean, we're talking 0. I don't know what the hell happened. So I suspect a contraction, and So I guess WR3s have to improve versus 4 complete 0% failures. We wouldn't expect that. So there's probably an uptick there, WR3s. So 1s are going to get worse, 2s and 3s probably a little better. Okay, so research-wise, you should start looking for the better, right? Because that will help you out when you're drafting. Here's the population. Look at 2022. Look at the extreme nature of the population. We haven't seen anything like that. Okay. Pretty much this area around 40% looks pretty close to what, if we tagged the pattern there, if I drew that, I don't know if I can draw that. Let's see. So that's kind of the pattern. I would expect this to be the area, and this will go up. So this will contract back. I don't think that will go up, right? No, I don't think that's going to happen. That might go up a little, but not a great deal. Okay, so not expecting that. WR4s. Here's WR4s, 37 to 48. Last year, man, look at this. Man, this is spectacular. I guess I should change the color there. Let's see, erase. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, so this is great, actually. Look at that. We've never seen such a good year for 2022. So right now, based on that, I say 2022 WR4s go down. Okay, we're not going to see a plethora at about 50% or better. Historically, we haven't. Look at the only 2 failures, and look at the failures over the other times. So this is probably about half. Look at 2020 COVID. That is no failures at all. That is pretty amazing, actually. Actually, pretty amazing. Let me get out of here. So here's the WR4 population. And you can see that this was really high. It will probably go down as well. So 1s go down, 2 and 3 probably improve, and I think 4 will decline. Okay, and we'll get something closer to that range than that. See, that's on the high side. Don't know about the contractness, but 2022, if you grab 2 or 3 WR4s and they really did well last year, you could be tricked this year. Okay, you got lucky. Okay, relative to the kind of the reference class forecast level that one would predict. And that's all we're doing, is everything I've told you is for us to kind of visualize. This is a visual art here. Visualize kind of what has gone on for 8 years and kind of what happened last year, and try to forecast what will happen in 2023. Okay, I know people are at the bottom level looking at players. To me, that's premature, and I don't do the data analysis that way. I like landscapes first, then you go down. It's mid-June. We got time to get player to player. I think that's premature until we researchers, those that are doing this, and I don't know how many are, I hadn't seen any, think about kind of the overall feel for patterns and what could happen there. I forget the drawing, how neat that is. Okay, last is WR5s. Last year, a boatload of failures. Look at this. Wow. But look at 2021, no failures. So that was so here you are. Let's imagine you're 2021, you're looking at this, and you're thinking, wow, 2021, that was great. If 2022 is anything like that, this is sleeper territory. Woo woo. Let me really jump in. Rut-row. In other words, 2019 should have given you some idea. Hey, it can get, I know that was the worst case, but it can get bad. Okay. So look at the variation from 0 failures, 1 failure, 2, 3, 3, bam, 2, and 5. So admittedly, 2022 was worse than we would predict. But 2021 was too much good. Looks like around 2, 3, 4 failures. Let's look at the populations here. Look at that. So I think, and you can see this, 5s will go up this year in overall population. Okay, so that's going to go up. So looks to me like that's the level it will go up to. So I guess you need to listen to what I just said. Think about the 1s, 2s, 3s should go up. 4s, did I say will decline? Yeah, 4s will decline. 5 will go up. So the 1 and the 4s demand your attention to kind of stay away from the failures, okay? Whereas the 2, 3, 5s, you should be looking for higher success than maybe people will think based on last year. So that's kind of the zig versus the zag. Part of this is understanding the foundation, but also thinking if people are using last year's data, then that locks them in. And I just showed you the surprise there of, imagine coming off 2019 and you're thinking, wow, I should avoid WR5s. Don't even think about it. Maybe go down. If I'm going to blow up, I might as well not use my draft capital. But then look at 2020, you're thinking, oh, 5s are sucky, but hey, compared to this year, 2020 was great, and 2021 even better still. And then just when you're thinking things are, hey man, these WR5s are putting money in my pocket, rut-row, we're back again. So you see, if you're relying on last year, this kind of data should wake you up. At least it should. Okay. Let me finish up these last 2 slides. Here's the top 12 RBs versus wide receivers. Let's just kind of go and get the RB comps here. Here is, the blue is RBs compared to 20, 21, 22. Last year, wide receivers, much better. Wide receivers, RBs better. So we've had RBs better, RBs worse, about the same. So the last 3 years, one should argue there's not any kind of big change to be predicted. One might predict that the WRs are going to go down. And remember, I said, look for a decrease in the WRs. And I think that's what we're going to see. So by relative comparison, then running backs might be better in proportion to WRs in 2023. Okay? Just kind of looking at that. And I think I went number 2. Gotta get rid of the drawing. I don't know why it does that. Okay. Wow. So, running back. Look at the WRs. Okay. Great. And not so great. But better. Overall, I think the last 3 years, wide receivers have been doing great compared to running backs there, if you look at top value. What does that mean? Well, running backs lose value quicker. Even RB2s have gone down from the best RB. So you've got that trend, whereas WRs decrease less. So the slopes are very gentle versus an extreme slope for RBs. So you've got to put that in context. Okay? 2022, look at the distance here versus the last 3. Very compact, stretching out. So not only was the running backs lower than wide receivers at that level, but it was broad. A lot of variation there. Look at the whiskers. From great to sad. So you really, the uncertainty level is certainly great. Look at the uncertainty here. Not much uncertainty at all last year, so that could have tricked you. I would predict that the whiskers probably will go up somewhere in there. Okay, 4 WRs. And I think that probably the RBs might contract in a little bit and be more at this level for 2023. So, we might do a little better this 2023 RB2s. So you could look at that. I'm reading tea leaves, folks. I stepped out, right? Because here's the future. Huh? And the future always surprises us. We're always sad and mad. We're mad and sad. Okay, that's us there. Me too. Because it would be nice if this pattern held and I could just rely on this and not have to do any work. Right? We all want wood and not chopping for it, right? We want the fire, but we don't want to chop the wood. Let somebody else chop the wood. Unfortunately, that's not how it is. Okay, guys, I think you get at least my view. Okay, that, by the way, when I go through these lessons, this is not the level of intensity that I apply. Because I made this data. So when I make a figure, I sit back and think about it. You know, go to sleep, dream about it, get up, think about it. So I've had a lot of time. This data just didn't appear magically, right? It's not an etch or sketch. So I've had plenty of time to sit on this data and cogitate. You haven't. In fact, your pattern is to try to get the nuggets and forget the subtleties, whereas in fantasy, the subtleties probably can win you a championship. So even those that are listening to me, thank you. The few that are, just be aware that going through kind of listening to me is one way, but then I would set this down and then come back and and actually turn off my voice, okay, and just look at the data and make your own conclusions. I mean, I'm presenting you the data, but what does it mean to you? Check your diary. Are you able to interpret this right? Right? How good are you at WR2s versus RB2s in that big debate? How good are you at these levels? You need to know yourself. And so that gets to the psychological side, cognitive biases and all that as well. So there's a time since we're all trying to live in the future, that we're, trying to do rules of thumb versus getting deep. And we all, as a human thinking machine, we bias. Our system 1 is lazy. Our system 2, our Vulcan logic, is lazy, and it's hard to bring that out. And you have to keep working at it and training. Thinking Fast and Slow, I did a lesson on that. Great book, Nobel Prize winner guy, behavioral economics. So many lessons here, folks. You need to master that book as well to help you in fantasy. Thinking Fast and Slow. Fooled by Randomness, another essential book. Okay, so I've got some lessons on the thinking side of things a little bit. Very few know that because people don't take the time, and that's fine. The few that will, great. Enjoy those lessons. Okay, we'll talk to you later. I've got, I guess, is this what's coming up next? Let me get rid of the part 4 is coming up. Okay, see you next time. Woo woo.